10:05. Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM. KFYO. And we bring in the president of American Bank of Commerce. It's our good friend as James Arnold. Thank you very much, James. Good to see you again.
Chad, good to see you. It's been a while. How are you?
It has been a while. Doing well, and of course, a lot of great things happening over at ABC Bank.
It's a good day to be at ABC. We've experienced great growth in Lubbock and really all across the state of Texas this year to date. And so as we enter the fourth quarter of the year, we're excited about where we're headed.
Yeah, let's talk about the economy and how things are going. I guess we'll start off kind of locally. How are things in Lubbock looking these days?
Last time I was here, we were talking about all the hotels that are being built all over the city, particularly South and West Lubbock. And, it's interesting. Occupancy rates are up about 3.6% year to date. So all that product that's come online, all the new hotel rooms, we've managed to fill them up. And so that's been kind of surprising. But it's a good time right now for Lubbock because Texas Tech's in session. Yeah. Texas Tech football's winning. We're having people come to town for that. But it's just amazing that these hotel rooms come online and we managed to find a way to put heads in beds.
Well, and you bring up hotels, and we've got a couple. We got one hotel that's being remodeled right now in downtown, right off of Avenue Q. And then you have another one, which I think is being built. I can't remember the name
Cotton
of it.
Court?
Yeah, Cotton Court. That's going to be built right there on, is it Broadway that's being built,
right
or Main Street?
Broadway, between Broadway and Main, right there just west of the Wells Fargo building.
Yeah.
And, that's been it was going to be multifamily. It was going to be an apartment complex. It was going to be this. And so they've kind of settled on this hotel complex.
It kind of does look like when I saw a picture of it when I drove by the other day, and they've got the billboard up. I was like, that kind of looks, almost like an apartment type complex.
It's kind of a retro concept. Yeah. They've got the developers have a concept very similar to that in the Domain area in Austin. So it's a proven concept. It's going to come to Lubbock. I'm excited about it, and it continues to have spinoff effects from the Buddy Holly being constructed down there. We'll see a couple of more hotel projects announced for downtown that's just going to do more to kind of keep downtown going.
How does that impact the convention business?
Well, it is the convention business. I mean, you've got to have enough hotel room space to get the big conventions, and Lubbock's been short on those, and they've been short on 4-star, 5-star hotels. We've never really had those before, and so if we can continue to bring these in, continue to fill them up, then you're going to see a JW or a big nice Marriott come to town, or a Hilton Flag that'll just do nothing but help spur growth in downtown.
Yeah, and when you get the bigger conventions in, obviously that's good for the economy. There's been some talk about how the Civic Center is going to be used going into the future. I would think if you're looking at the economic side of it, and maybe the way they're looking at going to, hey, the bigger things come first. Instead of first come, first serve, the bigger, the better. Those get priority booking. That's got to be good for the economy.
It's great for the economy, and it's real synergistic, whether it's the convention center, the Buddy Holly, the performing arts, and all the things that's going on down there. They all kind of feed together and create this great energy for downtown. And with that comes, when people show up, then restaurants show up, hotels and motels, and then you'll have multifamily. So it's really got some good ingredients to really do well going into 19.
Yeah. Is there any other chatter as far as the downtown, as far as the economic development and anything spurring down there?
Not really. I think everybody's kind of pausing and holding their breath to see what happens on this Rager Dykes. They really were a big private impetus in getting downtown kind of really revitalized. And so now that that's been set on pause, everybody's kind of waiting. There's a lot of interest in the real estate down there from out-of-town investors. So everybody's kind of waiting to see how that's going to shake out. And that'll shake out probably late 18, early first quarter 19. We'll see some of that real estate shake out.
Is that more of people aren't worried about it all falling apart downtown? It's more of
just uncertainty.
Let's see what the price is going to be on some of these buildings, perhaps?
Well, it's just uncertainty. What's going to happen? Are they going to be able to hold on to them? Are they going to sell them? Who's going to buy them? So it's just uncertainty right now. And so then you have doubt and rumors and all that. So I've just been telling folks, let's just see what happens. It's valuable real estate. A lot of Austin, Dallas, Houston investors that do real estate are looking for good values. And right now, Lubbock, downtown Lubbock, has value to it. There's upside. Mm-hmm. You can buy it low and then watch the increase. You look at other downtown places, they've already done that. So there's not as much upside potential for real estate investors. So they look at Lubbock.
Yeah. Let's look at some of the other aspects of the economy. How are things looking?
Home sales are up about 4% year to date. Values are up. Values are up 4%. Volume's up about 7.5%, almost 8%. So we're seeing good velocity. We're not having to move houses by cutting prices. So that shows a good, solid economy. Permits are down a little bit, but that's just that ebb and flow we talk about all the time. These builders and these community banks manage inventory so we don't have an oversupply. So they do a great job of managing that. Unemployment's, we're the 7th lowest unemployment in the state at 2.7 or 3.2. And we continue to see West Texas lead the way in unemployment. Yeah. Amarillo's up there, Midland, Odessa, obviously, with the oil and gas prices, and Lubbock. Austin jumps in there at about 4th, but we continue to lead the state out in West Texas in terms of if you want a job, there's jobs available in West Texas.
It seems like as far as housing goes, and we're doing a lot better than the Dallas area. I've seen a few news stories out in Dallas where I don't want to call it a bust. You're seeing some values, or you're not seeing the hot market in the Dallas area anymore. That's kind of dropped off.
It's kind of leveled off, and the houses in Dallas that are priced at $700,000 and up, kind of the higher end, they're sitting.
Yeah.
They're not moving as much. Now, if you move to Dallas and you're looking for a house of a $250,000 house, they're hard to find. It's the higher end, and there's a lot of them. Those are the ones that are kind of slowing and dragging that market down. But Dallas is still a hot market in terms of job growth.
Right.
You look at Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, the big cities in Texas. 70% of the jobs in Texas are in those major metropolitan areas. So they're continuing to kind of feed among themselves, create new jobs. Housing will catch up. Interest rates have risen. So the days of this below 4% on a mortgage are gone for a while, maybe ever. I don't know. But you're seeing mortgage rates increase, and that's pricing some people out of some certain markets. So We'll see what happens.
Let's go ahead and take the break. When we come back, we've got much more with the economy to get into with James Arnold, president of ABC Bank. Also, we'll take a look at what the fourth quarter may bring in West Texas and in Lubbock, and get into a few other areas of how things in the banking industry are going as well. We'll talk about interest rates and mortgage rates. We'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. Back on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, KFYO. James Arnold, president of American Bank of Commerce. You can visit their website, theabcbank.com. In studio, we're talking about the local economy. We were talking a little bit about the housing market here. Things still obviously looking hot in Lubbock, which is good. It's been good, and the housing market's been just on fire out here, and no signs of it slowing down really.
No, not really. We've got a lot of volume going through the system right now. We're watching interest rates, obviously, and like I said earlier before the break, that'll price some people out of certain markets. Mm-hmm. And again, Lubbock's not unlike Dallas. We talked about earlier. The higher end homes are taking longer to sell because as rates go up, fewer and fewer people can qualify for that mortgage. But the median home price in Lubbock continues to be around $200,000. And there's a lot of volume in that below $300,000 mark, and there's a lot of homes being sold in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's see, what about vehicles? Car sales doing well?
Car sales are doing good. Again, that's impacted by interest rates, but car sales continue to see good volume. The tariffs, we're going to see some increase on new cars. They'll be more expensive in 19, probably fairly significantly more expensive than they were in 18. Mm-hmm. Because we're still unsure of what's the trickle down on these tariffs with China.
Right.
And so that will have an impact on automobile sales. It'll have impact on steel, and it'll work its way through the economy pretty quickly in the end of the fourth quarter and into next year.
Well, you've seen that already with construction. Just construction cost. You've seen people who, depending on what they're dealing with, their prices have gone up
immediately, almost overnight.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to feel the brunt of that. Hopefully, our local producers won't feel that with cotton, but they may.
Yeah.
And so we're watching to see what that happens. Right now, the crop looks. If you're irrigated, you're pretty good. You're in pretty good shape. Cotton looks really good out there. Some dry land. if you got lucky and it rained when it needed to, those guys are going to do all right. But there's not many of those guys that got lucky on the dry land side. So the guys that look good are going to be great, and the ones that don't are going to be really bad. So there's really not much in the middle, it doesn't seem. So we'll see what happens.
Is there a year, and it's probably still a little bit too early, but is there a year that you can kind of look at and compare this year to as far as that crop?
You know, if I had to go back, I'd probably say 11 or 12. You know, we had the drought going on, and as long as you could put enough water on it, you did all right. And some guys got some rains late in 10. 10 was a good crop year. But probably 11 or 12, you know, it's going to be, I think it'll be average, maybe a little bit above average on yield. But we need a hot, dry end of September and a dry October, really, for this cotton to mature. And then we start stripping probably around Halloween.
Looking at the forecast, looks like we're going to get some rain, though. So,
so.
It may not be.
It's not
may not go that way.
It's not timely rain for sure. We need it to dry up and be hot and let that cotton mature. Remember last year we had a wet September and the cool September, cool October, and that cotton never matured properly, and so we had a lot of yield. But the quality wasn't there, and so it got downgraded. People didn't get paid as much, and so I hope we can avoid that again this year.
Yeah. When it comes to spending on people going out and buying clothes or going out buying shoes, spending money at restaurants, how's that looking?
You know, retail sales are good. They're up about 2%, and again, more and more people moving to town. We continue to see retail expansion on Milwaukee and South Lubbock, and we're seeing that migration going that way. We still continue to feel somewhat of an impact on online purchases. We'll really see what happens for the holiday season that begins, probably mid-November.
Right.
In terms of Christmas shopping, we'll see what that has an impact on. But everybody's still betting that, the fourth quarter is when retail makes their money. And we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah, and, I think, and you can probably speak to this a little bit more, but the tax cuts, that were put into place, and I think people overall feel good about the economy. They feel overall good about their job status. 4 or 5 years ago, people were on edge. They didn't know if they'd have a job. They didn't know if they were going to be laid off. People feel pretty confident right now when it comes to spending money, saving money. They feel pretty confident with the economy. That's got to have an impact.
It does, and it's nothing new for Lubbock. We've had a pretty solid economy for probably this last 7 or 8 years. What we're seeing now is the tax cut really helped the rest of the United States. Unemployment nationally is almost what it is in Texas, 3.9.
Yeah.
So we really saw the tax cut help the Rust Belt. We saw California, the Midwest, the East Coast really impact more than we are. So job confidence, consumer confidence really rose in 2018. It's been pretty high in Texas for a while, but we saw the rest of the country kind of catch up with us, and I think that's good for everybody.
Yeah. Talk about interest rates. What are we looking at now as far as interest rates go?
Well, prime rate's at 5.25 right now. That's kind of that's what everybody bases everything off of in terms of consumer lending, and so it's at 5.25. It's been hit 8 times recently. I think we'll see another rate increase in December to push prime to 6. And that just makes it more expensive to get a line of credit, buy a car, finance a house. But, what we're watching is the yield curve in finance, and we're watching to see what long-term rates look like compared to short-term. And the short-term rates are getting close to the long-term rates. And when that happens, that's kind of a precursor to a slowdown in the economy. So we're watching that very closely. That does impact everybody. But when energy prices are doing what they're doing in Texas, that still continues to drive the whole state's economy. And so as long as they're doing well, Texas will do well.
Are we seeing any impact, with interest rates going up? And, there's been some doom and gloom predictions with interest rates going up. We haven't seen any of the doom and gloom yet. It's, people are still going out. They're still buying cars. They're still buying, going out, purchasing homes. They're still taking out loans to remodel their homes. They're still doing a lot of things. Is that because people are bringing in more money, so it's kind of evening out a little bit?
It's consumer confidence. They're confident. What you said earlier, they're confident in their job. They're going to get raises because their company's doing well. The tax cut helped everybody. So you're seeing some of that play out. And still, rates are still pretty low, historically speaking.
Yeah.
As long as rates stay below 10%, it's going to be all right. It's going to be a good economy. But we lived for almost a decade with low rates all across the board. It didn't move. So people kind of got accustomed to CD rates paying 1%. and all really low rates. Well, now we're seeing some movement. CD rates are going up. Deposits are you're getting paid for your deposits better than you were a year ago. So all that works together. But as long as we can have a measured, steady growth on rates and on the economy, I think we'll be okay. But again, business cycles can expand and contrast, and we've been a pretty long expansion. We're due a small correction at some point.
Yeah.
If that's in 19 or 20, it's probably we're due something.
Yeah. Let's talk about not the far future, but at least the upcoming quarter. Any expectations for the fourth quarter? No,
I think we'll finish strong in Lubbock. I really do. We got great fundamentals. Enrollment's up at Tech. That's always good for our economy. The hospital's expanding. They're hiring. So all of the hallmarks of our economy are doing well. We're optimistic about the cotton crop. Like you said earlier, it's a little too early to call it, but we got about 45 days where we need some maturity of that cotton. And I think it's going to be a good year for Lubbock all around. It may be a record year. We've had a great first 10 months of the first 9 months of the year to start out with, and we'll go into the fourth quarter with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where also you've got people who are going to be still visiting Lubbock, still coming into town. You've got a lot of events that happen over at Texas Tech. You got a lot of families who are going to be coming and visiting. And, Lubbock's, like you said, the hotels are filling up. Still, even though you've got a ton of hotels going up, the hotels are filling up.
They're filling up. And Tech has two of their biggest games of the year still on the calendar, with OU coming to town and Texas coming to town. Those two weekends are huge for our local economy and local businesses, hotels, restaurants. It's just excited to be a part of the fall in Lubbock, and when those two guys come to town, it's always fun.
What's the economics behind, or I guess between an 11 a.m. kick, like we're going to see this weekend, and a good 7 p.m. kick?
I could tell you, John Maloof used to tell me that he'd take a 7 p.m. kickoff all the time, or a 6 p.m. kickoff, because people come to town early and they shop during the day and they go to the game in the evening. 11 o'clock kickoff, it just kind of shoots your day, and it's hard. People are just worn out after the game and they just go home. So it's a big impact from 11 to a 7, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, let's get more nighttime games.
All you got to do is win.
That's right. I like it. James, thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you, Chad.
Good to see you. Visit the closest ABC Bank to you, and you can visit their website anytime, theabcbank.com.